My name is Leah Alexander. I am the principal interior designer and owner of the award-winning Atlanta-based interior design firm, Beauty is Abundant. I got into the interior design industry fairly quickly after graduating from college. I started planning events at a design firm, and it was like a firm that does commercial back in 2008. A firm that does commercial projects. And there was always a party after the completion of a big install, in a completed project. And so it was like pretty posh, pretty zhuzh, and exciting and glamorous, as you could imagine, something like that in West Hollywood and Los Angeles. But then I really started to understand how personal the design industry is, and the relationships are different than your average corporate relationships. And it's not as much of like a per my last email kind of like energy with people interacting and stuff. And you get really close. And, on the residential side, you're in people's homes and you're in their closets and bathrooms, and you're really speaking to them about their aspirations of how do they want to live. And so I really kind of got to understand that in a different capacity in the industry, at which point I was fortunate enough to be able to get education on the job, and travel the world and see manufacturing practices and really learn about materials and really learn about sustainability and really get into the weeds while working. And that's really kind of been what I've continued, even as I started Beauty is Abundant, is just ongoing education and really leaning into how personal the industry is. Mantras are big. Mantras are helpful. There's so much noise. And so it's nice to have something really powerful and empowering and reaffirming to repeat. And so, coming from yoga as well, and just all these different kind of like manifestation practices and things that are baked into my way of being and my lifestyle. Beauty is Abundant is really about, obviously, as it sounds, like beauty really is abundant in the world. And I think that oftentimes it's a nice reminder, because it can feel a little gnarly, like out there navigating and adulting and things like that. And so it's a reminder that beauty is abundant. And it's also about, like, if I can cultivate abundant beauty within clients' immediate surroundings, then that understanding of how abundant it really is ripples into their other experiences in the world. I love that I had my start in my career in Los Angeles, and I really brought some of that California cool, some of that less is more aesthetic to a fairly traditional market here in Atlanta. But I also very much appreciate the older buildings, the brick, the grand architecture, the columns, and these kinds of things. And so there is like some synthesis of those two aesthetics that happens within our work, and a really versatile approach that we can take to different kinds of clients. Like right now in Atlanta, the housing market and the homes that are being built are a lot different than the ones that are standing, that have been here for some time. And so it's just nice to be able to get in there and really create designs that appeal to either the ultra modern client who's just built their home from the ground up, or that super traditional kind of like legacy ladies who luncheon kind of aesthetic. So it's nice to be able to do both. And, we do color. We really, obviously, as you can see, with the yellow kitchen behind me, but we do color and minimalism for the clients who are up for it, in a way that doesn't feel cold and in a way that's not going to feel dated. You can envision those homes with the like white lacquer and that like pop of red, and like, it looks kind of dated, and there's a look about it with the minimalism and with the color. And I think that we are able to do color in a way that really feels risky, but where clients can be in a place of yes about it, and in a timeless way that doesn't feel too kind of whimsical and maybe too youthful. We completed a project last December, right about a year ago now, and it was 5 bedrooms and different sitting areas and 3 bathrooms. And the client was in such a place of yes. It was actually our second project for this family. And they were in such a place of yes, there were no revisions, which is always the best outcome. Like if you're really listening as a designer, your best work is your first iteration. And it just had, pattern on pattern and color and fluted marble, this beautiful textured material, and all of these awesome things all in one go, all in one place. And that was really representative of how we can serve a family. There was like a fuchsia and burnt orange and a hot pink bedroom with these like arches and this arched canopy bed and all of this cool stuff happening. And we also had a room that was just color drenched in like a deep burgundy for an in-law. And so it just showed how dynamic we could be serving multiple family members. That was beautiful. And I will say, my own home, which you see my kitchen here behind me, my own home has been really well received. And I believe it's because there was no client. I was the client. I was able to do some of the things that maybe I'd pitched before that the client, didn't want to do. But also just something that was kind of a love letter to myself and Beauty is Abundant and this 100-year-old brick building that we're in, and juxtaposing a sleek chartreuse kitchen in a historic property. Not everyone has heard of this person. And it's funny when you say, who is my dream client? Because he is an artist, a prominent artist, music, and his name is The Dream. And The Dream has had his own music, and he was really debuted when I was in university, and that was kind of the soundtrack of my time in college. But also, he's responsible for just like huge hits, from Beyonce and Mariah Carey and Justin Bieber and Madonna and Rihanna and all of this behind the scenes. I would design his family home here in Atlanta, which call me, in a way that's most representative of them, of course, right? So, with children and their aspirations as they're growing and changing from year to year, and, just really what the family needs. If there are parents that are going to be aging in place in the home, if there are any sustainability, environmental, solar, anything like that, you're wanting to take into consideration for future thinking, it would just really be in honor of what they want and need, obviously, through the lens of Beauty is Abundance expert implementation and tradespeople and vendors. I really try to stay away from white kitchens, to overly monochromatic furnishings in the neutrals kinds of ways. And I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not saying anything like super groundbreaking, but it's safe. And I mean, my gosh, Andrea, the things that we have been through in the last 20 years, there's no reason to play it safe in any regard at all. And so for me, it's just like, I like to ask the question, wouldn't it be cool if? And it's like, look, don't show me some like white curb sofa with the white, no. Let's talk about, wouldn't it be cool if that one magenta love seat that you saw when you went to Paris 3 years ago that keeps coming up for you, but this or that, no, let's zero in on that. And let's go crazy. It's paint, it's furniture, not the end of the world. If you're feeling alive about it, then let's dig in. Right now I am training for the Peachtree Road Race here in Atlanta, and I think it's like a 5K, 10K, half marathon and whole marathon, but I did complete the LA marathon, I don't know, some odd years ago, and it was one of the most rewarding things that I'd done. And so I'm training for the marathon again, and it's 2 days before a big birthday for me. And so it's just kind of a thanks for, doing all these years and So I'm a marathon finisher and I'm on to my next marathon, which will happen this July. I hope to see you at High Point Market. And in the meantime, I know that you're following along with me on Instagram at Leah D Alexander _ and also at beautyisabundant.com.